We're going to take the Steelers versus the Dolphins. So what we want to look for, the first thing is how these defenses go against the run. So what we're going to focus on here, though, is pretty much Miami's defense, because in this game, for example, they're in Pittsburgh. It's probably going to be like 0 degrees. Miami doesn't play well when they're in that type of environment, so it's very hard to judge, even with the numbers, exactly how they're going to produce. So we're going to focus a little bit on the Steelers here. So first thing we want to look at is the defense for rushing. All right, Miami's defense for rushing. Yards allowed. Okay, yards allowed rushing. They're 28th. They give up 131 yards per game. So they're pretty vulnerable on the ground there. Then the next stat that you want to look at as well is yards per rush attempt. So this means this is pretty much the probability that that running back for, where we'd be focusing here is obviously the running back for the Steelers, the chances of him being able to break one out, and run for a gain of 10 to 20 yards or somewhat like that. So when we look at Miami's yards per attempt given up, they are also 28th. So in the bottom of the league there, and they average 4.8 yards per carry given up. So from that alone right there, you're able to see that we're going to be able to focus on the Steelers running back here. And also, weather does count. So when you're looking into, the aspects of how the weather is, if it's a very cold environment and, the wind is going, they're going to focus on running the ball more, okay, than throwing the ball, because it's hard to catch the ball when it's 0 degrees out, and it's hard to throw the ball when there's wind. And like I said, the weather does play a factor. So that is something to pay attention to, definitely in games. Now, we're focusing on the running back here for the Steelers, which is going to be Jaylen Warren. Now, he hasn't had like a dominant season to where, he's killing it running the ball or whatnot. But we're probably not going to need to, and we're going to get to that a little bit later when I break down the exact numbers of what's going to be probably the best possibility in this matchup tonight that correlates with the running backs. So, Jaylen Warren, first off, he's had 159 carries this season, and he's played 12 games. So what we want to do here is we want to take 159, we want to divide that by 12 to get what his average attempts that he gets per game, how many carries he's going to get. All right, so when we do that, we come up with a number of 13.2. So that's the average carries that he's going to be getting per game, is around 13.25. Now what we want to do is we want to see what his yards per carry average is just by himself. And that's going to be 4.1, which is actually pretty high for a running back. So 4.1 yards per carry is pretty good. What we're going to do here now is we're going to take this 13.25 and we're going to multiply that by how many yards per carry that he gets to get somewhat of a little projection. So when we do that, we get 54 yards, okay? So again, this is just the start of finding a projection here for this running back. So the next thing we want to do here is we got what his yards per carry pretty much are. But now what we're going to do is going to take what Miami gives up, which is 4.8 here, and then we're going to take that with this number here. So again, we'll take that 13.25 and then we multiply 4.8 now, because that's what Miami gives up per attempt, and that's going to give us 63 yards. So now to get a true projection here, we got his yards per carry and what he averages with the amount of carries that he gets per game, which is 54. And then now we got what Miami gives up per attempt. We jive that with what his average carries are. And now we got 63 yards and 54 yards. So what we're going to do here is we add both of those together, and then you divide them by 2. Now once you do that, you're going to get a true projection here, and that's going to be 58.5 yards. All right, so now that we did that, this doesn't mean that we're finished. Not even close yet, okay? We've got our idea of what to look at for running backs. Okay, and again, we're focusing on the Steelers running back because, like I said before, you want to be able to, when you're looking at a running back prop, you don't just take into account the numbers. Okay, you have to take into account the weather. If they're playing in a stadium, you got to take into account all that stuff as well. Okay, not just exactly true, just their stats. But like we said, we're going to go ahead and go with the Steelers running back here. We're going to focus on him. We got a projection here. Okay, we got our projection of how many yards he can project to get. Okay, if everything played to the averages on both sides of the ball here, we'd have a 58.5 yards average. Okay, that's projection average. So what we're going to do is we're going to translate that now to the odds that the sportsbook gives us and see where our edge actually lies compared to his true probability of being able to hit around a number like this. Now, if you guys want to fast forward through all this and you guys want me to show you the exact plays that correlate with every single strategy that I teach make sure you guys click the link in the description. All right, so let's go ahead and put him down one more time here so that way everybody can see. Jaylen Warren. So what we're going to look at here is going to be 30 plus, we're going to look at 40 plus, 50 plus, and 60 plus. Okay, these are the rushing yards that we can get here. Okay, we'll put that up here. Now let's go ahead and write down what the odds are at the sportsbook for each individual number. So we got 575 here, we got 245 here, 125 here, and plus 136 here. So pretty much the line that everybody sees when they're opening up their sportsbook and they look at the props for running back tonight, this is the number you're probably seeing here. Okay, somewhat around that. It's probably like 50, 51, 52, in that range. All right, but we're going to run the numbers to all these to see where our edge actually lies. Now let's write down our implied probabilities across the board here. So the first one, we have 85%, then we have 71%, then we have 55%, and last we got 42%. All right, we got our implied probabilities now. Now our true probabilities, which are based on the fact of what? First level, or first layer, like I've told you guys in previous videos, first layer is looking at what he's did overall. Second layer would be going further, which we're not going to do here, but I'm telling you guys exactly what to do, is you go against similar defenses of this caliber and see how he's played against those. All right, but first level, first tier, for true probability here, what we're looking for, okay, let's see what our true probability is running these numbers. Now, 30 plus, he's got a 92% chance of that happening. 40 plus, he's got a 67% chance. 50 plus, we're at 50%. And then at 60 plus, we're at 42%. So this is where we find our edge. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and write down where's our edge. First off, at 575. Okay, it's a big number, but we do have a 7% edge there, plus 7% edge. 40 plus, we have a negative 4% edge there. Okay, 50 plus, we have a negative 5% edge. And then if we take ourselves to plus money area, we have a 0% edge here, okay, because they both have 42%. So taking a look at our numbers across the board here, obviously negative edge on 50, so we go ahead and cross that one off. Negative edge on 40, cross that one off. 60 plus, we have a 0% edge, okay, so it's pretty much dead even there. We got no edge, okay, it's not negative, it's not positive. So again, most likely we would go through that because we do have a plus edge here, and it's going to be the 30 plus at a hefty number. Yeah, you pay a price here, you definitely do, but you get an edge. This is where it comes into play as in stock trading wise, okay? This is like scalp trading, where you're paying a bunch of money for a result to get back a little bit of an investment, all right? This is what this is, okay? Because most sports bettors will look at numbers like this and they get scared. They're like, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm not doing that. It's just another trade. That's really all it is. It's just another trade, okay? But you have to stay on the trades that give you plus money and give you plus edge. Not plus money, but plus edge. All right, because right here, our only option, literally, is this one right here. That's our only option. There's nothing we can do, okay? Playing any of these, yes, he could hit these, but playing any of these is strictly gambling. You're just straight up gambling, right? And this is a classic example that I like to use here, this one right here, to prove to people like your minus 110 lines and whatnot, why they lose so much. Because look at right here. This is a minus 125. So this is like what the sports books are giving you when you just log in and look at the app, okay? There's an implied probability of 55%, but its true probability is only 50%. Long term, playing these type of plays, you're negative 5% comp, and what happens there? You end up just slowly losing money, okay? This is a classic example right here, this 50 plus one. Classic example of the minus 110 lines, playing them over time and, you know, slowly just losing money. So our only edge here is 30 plus, and that's the only thing we can really roll with besides anything else with Jaylen Warren. And that's how you find a running back prop that's going to hit in the 85 to 90 percentile.